Hola, from the west side. It is me, DC the Purple Diva, and welcome to Not So Random Chat. Happy Wednesday, y'all. I hope everybody is having a cool, mellow night. Coming in late. But I've been checking out, some folks out there. I'm also about to share myself out. Let me see. I'm gonna share myself out because I don't know about these notifications going out. So I'm gonna just put it on out. Anyway, been listening to a few things today. Oops. And just kind of listening to a lot of the chit chat in regards to Kamala Harris. And surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, there are starting to be, naysayers and some who are supportive. And I gave my comments last night in regards to her. I don't know if she's the right choice, but she is the choice. And so if you're a Democrat, then you should be supporting the ticket, right? But please don't look at this like you looked at things when Obama ran, because this isn't quite the same situation. And we all know that, yeah, this is historic. And if, in fact, Mr. Biden does win the election, then it would just mean that the country's ready for a woman vice president. But not that they're ready for a woman president. And my my question is, if Mr. Biden is running, if he wins, does he intend to run for re-election in 4 years? Just wondering if, in fact, he's going to do that. Because think about it. I mean, how old is he? What is he? He's like, what, 78? Him and Trump are in the same age range. So that means that in 4 years, he'll be over the age of 80. In 4 years, Trump will be over the age of 80, but he won't be able to run for president again. It's just things that you have to think about. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm a little concerned about his cognitive ability, I mean, okay. Now, I am one of those people that, was a stutterer when I was a child. Hey, Mo Grizzly. If he ain't cutting checks, they not winning. I don't know. I'm just thinking that he should take the cognitive test, even though he says he's not going to do it. Okay, so now I grew up, and when I was a kid, I was a stutterer. So, I went through speech therapy, and so I don't tend to stutter that much, obviously as an adult. But when he's talking, I don't see it as like a stuttering issue. It's like sometimes I'm wondering if, you know, everything's connecting. And I'm not even being biased to the age. I'm just, you have to look at everything. You would want both of the candidates to be capable of running the country. But again, do we know? Yes, he was vice president for 8 years under Obama. But now, that doesn't mean that he is going to be coming in here with Obama like policies. But for me, the choice of Kamala Harris is questionable simply for the fact that if that was his pick to encourage, as 13 percenters, I'm talking about the black vote. Um, there's a split in regards to her. Now, those of us who happen to live in the state of California, where she was the attorney general and where she was a DA in San Francisco, know about her history when it comes to the judicial system and locking up black people and stacking charges. So she's not for us. I've said that before. And if that's the vote that he's trying to get, she's not the person he should have picked. Now, hey, Jazzy Nicole. Now, I'm of course, because I'm nonpartisan, I'm going to listen to what everybody has to say. I'm going to try to do that. But I heard that there aren't even going to be any debates. I heard that Trump and Biden aren't going to even debate. So that's problematic to me. I understand what we're in, but I'd really like to hear the two of them square off, especially in this particular situation. Just saying. I'm just saying, y'all. I don't know how this is going to go because we're only on day 2. But I personally think that this may have been Kamala Harris's plan all along. This may have been her plan all along to get herself out there so that she could be a contender for the vice presidency. And clearly, she's been um, campaigning for that job for months, unbeknownst to us, which is smart on her part. But she's going to have to prove herself to minority voters in that she has not shown support for us in her role as an attorney and as an attorney general in the past in the state of California, we want to see what she gonna do now if she's in this place as the, second in the command. I just gotta know, you know. I'm just, I just am perplexed about her. I'm perplexed about her. But that's the Democratic choice. And one of my mods brought up a very good point yesterday in regards to the choice, that it would have probably been better for Biden, because he is a northerner, to have picked someone that was a southerner rather than Kamala Harris, because it's going to look more like, they're carpetbaggers. And, I mean, let's be honest. California, at least as far as its politics, is a pretty liberal state, okay? And but it's not liberal when it comes to putting black people in jail. Let's not forget that part. Um, but on some other stuff, yeah, nationally they're considered a more liberal state, at least as far as the Democratic. It's not a conservative state. Um, that being said, Biden is going to have to do something to get the more conservative vote. And I'm talking about the more conservative vote in the Democratic Party. And those of us who are nonpartisan, because most of us who are nonpartisan, who are former Democrats, are nonpartisan because we are probably a little bit more conservative than the party actually is. And I don't think the party's for me. I don't think it's for me. I don't think the Republican Party's for me. That's why I just decided to be an independent thinker and just do what I do. But when it comes to presidential elections, since unfortunately we are a two-party system, you have to choose between the two candidates. I have my problems with Mr. Trump. I'm not going to lie. I have my problems with him. Um, I don't think that he has done anything personally for me during the time period that he's been in there. Um, but by the same token, I don't know what is coming from, you know, Mr. Biden either, because he really hasn't been real clear about everything that he's going to do. He has kind of put out a plan in regards to how he would handle the pandemic differently, but I don't know. It's just going to be, this is just going to be a very weird election. I mean, it's going to be historical because of the time we are in this world with things that are going on globally. And it's going to be very different for us as a country, you know? I mean, aren't we tired of having to vote for what we think is the lesser of two evils? Every 4 years, it's like that. Every 4 years, it's like that. Well, it wasn't like that when Obama originally came in because, we had high hopes for him. But, you know, in general, for the majority of my adult life, it's been when you vote for the president, let's vote for what the lesser of two evils. That was the lesser of two evils. That's a really sad way for our democracy to be. A really sad way. And I just, I mean, there's been a couple of, parties that have tried to get in there. I mean, you have the Green Party. You have, what's that other one called? Was it the Peace Party? A couple of them, that always, they'll push somebody out there. But never anyone that even has a shot in hell of going against the Republicans and Democrats. Not even a chance in hell. So we're stuck. We're stuck with these two candidates to choose from, basically. And, I don't want Joe Biden to promise that he's going to bring back things as like they were during the Obama years. Don't do that. We need better. We need better than it was then, and we need better than what it is now for our country. So whoever wins needs to do better. Because right now, we suck. The world is looking at us and we just suck to them. Even though many people want to be here, the way our country is being run right now, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, is very unsatisfactory. And I'm going to say that with the House, with the Senate, with the judicial branch, and with the executive branch, it's all running amok, to me. That's just my opinion. I'm hoping that I can be on here for a while tonight, but I'm not sure because y'all know I'm on my phone. And but it should last. It should last at least so I can be on for about an hour. Let's hope that it does. But in other news, I find it very, very funny that you have people having a problem with Megan Thee Stallion teaming up with Cardi B for her WAP video. Um, I personally didn't have a problem with it. I mean, Cardi is who Cardi is. She does what she does. Um, but personally, I think that was a smart move on Cardi's part because Megan Thee Stallion is the it girl right now, and you know, Cardi's trying to stay relevant. But you have people like CeeLo Green who had issues with it because of the sexuality of it. But hey, this is what your female rappers are about. For the most part, they're very sexy. They want you to know that they're female, and they're putting their sexuality out there. Um, and personally, if you don't like the video, don't watch the video, CeeLo. My opinion. Um, yeah, rap is different today than it was back when he was with Goody Mob and everything. So is the female rapping, but I'm not going to take anything away from Megan Thee Stallion. Her style is fire. Period. The girl style is fire. So let her be. I think she's gone through quite a lot recently. I think she's gone through quite a lot recently. You know, let the girl just chill and live her life. You know, hopefully, she will do better in future in her choices in men and will not find herself in predicaments with men who are on the violent side, won't get shot in the foot again, or I'm sorry, both feet again. But, I personally liked the little video. And, maybe I'm older and my opinion doesn't count. But, I'm like, if that's you, do you, boo. If that's you, do you. But I've been watching a lot of other videos today and just watching just different things that people have been saying in their videos. And I'm gonna give a shout out to one of the channels that I do support, and that's gonna be Bayou Bunnies News and Talk. She does like an early morning live these days, and you gotta check her out because this morning she was talking about whether YouTube is a business or not. And they brought up some very good points. And here's what my opinion is. Even if you're getting on here and you're putting up, whatever kind of videos, it's still a business. Even if you are, not getting paid for it, because every time you come up on the platform, put content out there, you are taking time. When you're putting videos together, doing editing and all of that stuff, you can call it a hobby if you want to call it that, but it's a business. It may be a business that you choose not to get paid for or don't get paid for, but it's definitely a business if you're on here putting out content. That's what I think, you know? And I think that if people kind of looked at it from that perspective and they're doing whatever they're doing on here, um, it would probably make it a smoother thing. Things wouldn't be taken as personal. Um, people getting in beasts and all that kind of stuff that happens on here, because it should be treated as a business. These are people that, basically other content creators are colleagues, so to speak, depending on, the sectors that you may be in. And, like for me, I don't really, I guess, I'm not really in a specific sector other than I am part of the autism community, because my vlogs basically are about my life as an autism mom and as a caregiver. My live streams are about whatever. And I'm probably in what they consider, quote unquote, the black sector of YouTube, simply because I am a black content creator. Um, but all of my content is not about being black. Um, do I consider myself pro-black? I consider myself for black people. I consider myself, you know, obviously for my own personal circle first, but um, I don't consider myself a necessarily pro-black content creator. Some of my content is about being black, but it's generally dealing with it when it's dealing with it from the autism spectrum in regards to my son, and dealing with myself, you know, as a black woman, you know. Um, I don't discount, you know, the Cuban part of my roots, but as I always tell people, the Latin part of me is still black. Okay, it's just they got off at a different stop. That part of my ancestors, you know, were enslaved by Spain. So, however, they're still black. So it is what it is. But I do try to brand myself, you know, and really brand myself in regards to, what I'm bringing to YouTube from my life as a caregiver. And YouTube is not my full-time job because that's not what I'm in it for. I'm in it, you know, to put out information, hopefully good information, um, when I do the live streams and when I put out my vlogs to educate people on autism, because there's not a lot of information that goes out there from people that look like me about kids that look like me. And at least here in the country that I live in, the United States, they are disproportionately affected by autism. And I'm finding that it's probably the same in on the continent of Africa. When I study, the effects of autism there, it's probably worse because they, there's a lot of, I don't know, thoughts of kids being possessed instead of that they might have something going on with them developmentally on the continent. And a vast percentage of these kids are still nonverbal by age of 8. And unfortunately, a lot of them stay nonverbal because they don't intervene with them at an earlier age. Oh, thank you, Jazzy. But there's so much that we don't know about autism because kids on the autism spectrum are so different from each other. You have people like Temple Grandin, who has a PhD in agriculture and is a professor at a university in Colorado. Um, you've got people like the young man that won on AGT a couple of years ago, Cody Lee, who is blind and autistic, but when he gets behind a piano and starts singing, all of that goes away. And you see who he really is behind the autism. Um, and then you have other pe- other kids who are completely nonverbal, like the young lady who wrote the book with her father. I think her name is Carly. Yeah, teenager. She's still a teenager too. Completely nonverbal. But when she learned how to communicate and was able to type out what she was feeling, it showed you that even though words weren't coming out of her mouth to us, she had the words. I mean, it's a lot of different kids. I mean, you have kids. I'll give like some celebrity examples, like Tony Braxton's son, Diesel, and they now say that he is cured of autism. I say that he's not cured of autism. I say that he has gotten to the point where he knows how to handle he is able to handle, for the most part, any of his social awkwardness. He's learned to adapt. And because she did early intervention with him, he's been able to, you know, excel. Early intervention is so important with autism. And then you have Jenny McCarthy, who also says her son is cured. But she did like the gluten-free diet and like the fish oil thing, which I never could do with my son because my son is allergic to fish. So that experiment was completely out of the window. And we were just getting ready to start doing the gluten-free, and then Corona came. So we haven't been very successful in that, but I am going to start to do that again because I think that it will help him. I think that it will help him, and it can't hurt him. It can't hurt. Okay, let me see, how much battery do I have? How much battery do I have? I am okay. We're still doing good. I still have like 20% battery. I didn't plan this out very well, y'all. Not today, I didn't. I should have had my phone on the charger. Should have put my phone on the charger today. Instead of, not having it on the charger all day. But I think I still have enough battery that I can finish my life. Yeah, but you know, I like being able to give people information in regards to autism because there are so many individuals who have autism now, and our kids grow up and they still have autism. And for many of them, services become scarce as an adult, you know, and it's harder if they are those who are not able to go to college or not able, to be able to go out into the job. They need to, get additional services so that they can eventually, hopefully, live independently. And I can talk from that perspective, but I tell that perspective with, the knowledge that there's so many more resources that are available to our kids now than there were when my son was born. Because my son is 25, and at the time that he was diagnosed, it was they thought it was only 1 in 10,000 kids in the United States. They got it. It's now one in, depending on how you look, 1 in 50 and one in 45, depending on who you're listening to. And that's only in the United States. but it is the it is one of the it is the growing, I guess, what you consider lifetime developmental disabilities or neurodiversities that is going in the world. Um, and as I would say within the next 20 years, there's going to be a huge portion of the population that are going to be on the spectrum. Now, I'm not one of those ones. 20% is bad if you have an Android. I don't have an Android. I have an iPhone. I have an iPhone. So I think I have the 20 minutes that I still need. I only need about 20 more minutes, and my phone should actually last that. It probably should last that. Yeah, no, I know I've got more than 8 minutes because let's see, I told you guys that. Yeah, I'm still at the same. I've only lost 1%, so I'm now at 19%. So I think I'll make it. Yeah, iPhone batteries are pretty good. Well, yeah, on the newer ones, they last pretty long. But yeah, autism is the number one different ability in the world, because for many for many of the people on the spectrum, it's not a disability. It's only a disability for some. Like in my son's situation, yeah, it's a neurodiversity for him, but because of his neurodiversity, he's considered disabled. But there are people on the autism spectrum that have the diversity and are not disabled. Temple Grandin, she didn't speak. My son never lost his speech completely. She just didn't speak at all. But this woman has a PhD and she's very oral. And she's a visual thinker just like my son. But I'm not of the opinion that vaccinations are from the pits of hell. I do think that for my child, the bundling of the vaccinations being given to him before the age of 18 months is what caused his autism. For my kid. That's what I think. Because I saw when he changed. And I saw things that happened after having shots, like in just the way that he started having like night terrors after the first shots. Those things used to scare me to death. So I just think that it was certain elements, because when I was a child, those shots were broken up. And we didn't get all of those shots. We were getting those shots all the way up to the age of 6 versus up to the age of 2. That's a 4-year difference. And the brain is developed differently. But who am I? I'm just a parent speaking my opinion. But I would never tell someone to not get their kid vaccinated. I'm not an anti-vax. What I would say is make your doctor unbundle those shots. Do not get all of those vaccinations at the same time for your baby. Don't do it. And if you can, spread them all the way out until the age of 6. That's just my opinion. I don't think all of those shots are necessary before the age of 2. I don't. I just don't. Um, you know, like some of the things that were in those shots, I caught them before I was able to get the vaccinations as a child, which is the normal progression because they weren't giving out measles and mumps shots to 18-month-old in the 60s. They weren't doing that. That crap happened. I think they started doing that probably in the late 80s to the 90s. That's when they started bundling that stuff. And that's when the autism rate skyrocketed in the United States. And the CDC knows that for whatever reason, there's a higher propensity of autism in boys of color, black and brown, because of those shots. They don't, I don't know if they know why, because they did a study, but they'll never bring that information out to the public. Do you know how costly it would be if it came out that these shots were causing this in so many children? The lawsuits against the federal government, against the medical society. I mean, there's other countries that banned vaccinations before a certain age because of this. I'm not saying they're right. I'm just saying that's something to think about because the requirement is to have the vaccinations before your kids go to school. And I understand that people have their kids going to school earlier now, which is really sad, And it's nursery school, daycare, whatever, between the ages of 2 to 4, where they're learning some things in that situation, but I don't think giving them these shots that early is. I just I just am against it. I'm against them being bundled. Let me see where we are, guys. I'm actually looking to make sure I've got enough battery. We've got about 15 more minutes to make an hour. I will make sure I've got enough battery to make 15 minutes because I'd hate for my phone to die on us. Ooh, but it looks like I'm going to actually make it. Because guess what? I'm still at 16%. I'm still at 16%. I know I am testing my battery tonight. I should have probably just gone live on my laptop, but it's the laziness in me. Plus, going live from my phone is just so cool to be able to do that. And I think I figured out how to invite people even when I'm on my phone. I think I figured it out. But I'm still testing it. But I think I figured out how you can invite people when I'm doing the lives from my phone. So I will probably be able to have panels even if I am going live from the mobile. I'm going to put you guys on mute for just 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm sorry. I'm back now. My son is, he's upstairs and he's doing one of his little meltdown thingies, stomping, having an issue. But we're only going to be on here for a little while longer. Then me and him are going to have a conversation, clearly. Clearly, we're going to have a conversation. And see, that's like one of the things that this, the lockdown and the quarantine has just not helped with. Because for him, it's just, I think, he's going stir crazy. I mean, but he's not the only one. He's not the only one. Um, it's the same for everyone that's not getting any kind of services right now on the spectrum as an adult, you know. And I can only imagine how it is for those who, you know, live at home and their parents are not able to be there with them. So, what are they doing? Because, like with my son, though he's an adult, you're not going to leave him by himself. You're, because he is an adult. And it would not be safe for him. Um, he's not articulate enough that if confronted with the police, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. That's, and I'm sure there's other parents that have that same fear. That was one of the reasons why I did a video, one of the vlogs that I did recently, and it was talking about law enforcement and being Black and autistic. And it's some scary stuff in regards to that, because people with developmental disabilities as a whole have more issues with law enforcement as young adults. And it is even more intense for those who are Black. It's sad to say. Um, Unfortunately, our law enforcement are really not properly trained to to deal with people on the autism spectrum. They take that and use training for dealing with people who have the mental issues, and mental health issues and autism are not the same. Not the same. You may have someone who has autism who may also have a mental health issue. They may um, suffer from depression. They may have, some other things going on. But autism itself should not be treated like a mental health issue. And that's where I say we really don't understand autism. Um, we don't. Because the way that it is classified is the same way as they classify um, mental illness. They use the same type of, categorization for it. And, you know, I guess that's the way that they thought that they needed to do it. I still, they've made some changes in it, but in making changes in it, what they did is they narrowed it and now exclude some people who really should be able to get services from not getting services. Because now, where they were before considered on the autism spectrum, now they're not considered that. They'll just say, well, no, they're just ADHD or ADD, or something else that doesn't get any funding or any services. You know, that's to keep it from being covered by insurance. Because, back in the day, autism things were not covered by insurance unless you fought and screamed and shouted for them. Now, thankfully, it is covered by insurance. But again, this is another way to keep them from getting the services. Just another way. I'm just looking and see, we're almost down to 10%. So I'm probably, let's see. I think I'm going to make it. I have about 7 more minutes to make it an hour on a low battery. I know. I know I shouldn't have done that, but hey, I'm a risk taker. And if it comes down to that, and my phone does die, then I can always, I'll pull it up on my, I'll pull it up on my computer and come back in. But I think that I will make it to the end. I think they will make it to the end. And I do hope that the stuff that I've been talking about in regards to autism is actually informative to those who are in the chat and those who are listening from the clouds and those who are going to be listening on the replay. I've got a lot of knowledge inside of me about it just because you know, I've lived with someone with autism for almost 25 years, my son, you know. But I will say that he is capable of much more than he does. And I think that he needs to be pushed harder. I think that especially doing this, we've kind of been, giving them a break, but I think that that's not a good thing. I think that we're going to have to just be back on them because at some point, you know, all of this is going to be over and he's going to have to actually go out into the world again. And I need him to be ready. I need him to be ready. I need him to be ready for that. And hell, even though he's an adult, I tell people, when you become a parent, there's no expiration date on being a parent. You know, you, if your kid needs you past the age of when they're considered a legal adult, then hopefully you feel morally obligated to be there for them. Hopefully you do. I mean, I'm in my late 50s, and I'm thankful that I still have a parent that's here, you know, and even now, my dad would do whatever he could for his kids. My mom would when she was still here, because that's what you do when you're a parent. You know, that's what you do when you're a parent, and it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better, because he's gonna get better. Let me see where we are. We are at 3 minutes and counting. And it looks like my battery, shouts out to the iPhone battery, shouts out. Looks like my battery's gonna make it. Told y'all. And I know a lot of people are team Android versus the iPhone. And I did have an Android years ago. I did. I used to have Androids. The reason that I switched to iPhone was because when the iPads came out, Steve Jobs did an interview on 60 Minutes before he died. And in that interview, he talked about how the iPad had been designed. He designed it specifically for people with autism because he knew that they needed that touch type of situation. And I switched everything to iPhone, to Apple stuff, because I knew that Apple products would be easier for my son. And they are. Because that sucker knows how to hack into anything. That's an Apple. He hacks into all the stuff. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. He can no longer hack into my phone because now my phone is on face recognition. And, my son looks like me, but he don't look that much like me, you know? He'd have to be like my friend Tasha Smith and her sister Sidra. Yeah, a twin. And he's not my twin. Hey, JTK, how are you? Came in just almost at the end. I'm like about a minute or so before I'm about to get off of here. My battery on my cell phone is at 9%. Shouts out to iPhone for being able to last an hour with the battery at 20% when I started. But I won't do this again to my phone. I don't think she appreciates me doing her like that. But it's good to know that if I needed to be on the phone for an hour and it was an emergency and I didn't have any ability to get to, my charger, that my phone would last if I had at least 20% battery. That is excellent because I still have 8%. And I don't know about y'all's phones, but our phones don't shut down until you got to get down to like 1 or 2%. Then it's just going to shut down on you because it's going to conserve so that you don't lose your complete battery. It'll shut down before it gets to no charge. That's what it'll do to you. But I'm going to come on here because we're at the end and I'm going to say my goodbye. I know, didn't I though? I did good. Let me come on. Hey guys, how are y'all? Thank y'all for coming and hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I know I come on late at night. I know I do. I'm going to try to come on sometimes during the day. I really do. But, you know, I'm working. And when I'm working, then all y'all going to do is see me working. Maybe I'll do one of those and do it like it's a silent stream. Y'all can just watch me work. I don't know. But I'm going to get off of here while I still have some battery. And I will be back on tomorrow. But until then, I offer you guys peace and blessings from the West Side. Please stay safe. We are still in the middle of a pandemic, and it is really affecting individuals between the ages of 18 and 49. So be safe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.